Hello everyone, welcome back to Grounded Roots Healing. My name is Jason and I charge electric cars on YouTube. At least that's what every one of my videos has been recently, me sitting at this charging station. I'm a spiritual teacher on YouTube, as well as I'm pretty sure a lot of other things. I think there's a lot of hats I'll be wearing on the spiritual journey, many of which I haven't figured out what they are yet. So, but for now, we talk about spiritual topics until whatever other abilities I have get turned on. So, today I'm going to talk about tower moments and how we're going to have a lot of these in the near future. So as far as abilities that I have clairvoyance, which I, believe it or not, don't use that often anymore because it requires me to be tapped into the going-ons of the planet, let's say, and I refuse to take more than a cursory look at any of it because it just drags me down. So if I tap in really closely to the goings-ons, I will get information on what's going to happen, or at least a probability on what's likely to happen in the future. I have a whole book. When I first figured out that I had this ability, I became obsessed with it and I started automatic writing, and I wrote out a lot of predictions for the future and I put them in a book. But like I said, I don't do it much anymore because it doesn't really matter. This is all a game. It's all designed for us to play here, and no matter how many times people try to scare you, why in God's name would you come to a play that was going to end early or end in disaster? What lessons could you possibly learn if that was going to be the case? So if you believe that this is a play in a schoolhouse like I do, then all of the outcomes are going to be good. It's just a matter of learning the lessons on the way. So, I don't do it. Now, once in a while, I'll look at something and I'll try to see if I can get an answer. But normally, if I look at it, it does affect me, so I don't. And I have what's called clairsentience, which is essentially accessing the Akashic records and getting downloads of information about how the system works, how this entire matrix is designed. And I think you only start to get this stuff turned on once you have an awakening, which is usually at a predetermined time in your life. So it got turned on. Now, I've had sort of access to this my whole life, but I didn't know how to listen to my intuition. So it was next to useless because your monkey mind would override all of the decisions you would have made based on your intuition anyway. Trust your gut. So that's some of my abilities. Now, I know there's more coming too, for sure. And I think they'll be a little bit more impressive than those as well. But we'll see. I'm just waiting and healing and improving this vessel so that it can function better and help me do some of these things that I know are coming, like healing and quantum healing and other things. So, tower moments. So I was driving in to our local town yesterday, and I came across a very recent car accident. So an individual in a small sedan crashed head into a guardrail. The guardrail lifted up, cut through the windshield, and went right by him. So it was so close. Like, I almost came upon a horrific accident, but he was completely fine. And he immediately jumped out of the driver's seat and was trying to flag people down to take him away from the scene. So as you can imagine, he was likely inebriated and wanted to get away from this place before the police arrived and arrested him for doing what he was doing. So it got me thinking about, now, before I go on to that, there was another car accident similar where they smashed into a guardrail not far from that actual location. And then I got news that we had a local band of thieves that had been known going around stealing stuff had been caught just this in the last few days, and that's been being dealt with. So where am I going with this? Tower moments. I am of the opinion that these were tower moments for some people. So people like myself, who is an alcoholic, I guess you could say, I don't drink, but there are lots of people who are using substances to avoid awakening, let's say, to be able to bear this system and to keep that trauma stuff down. You know, I saw another gentleman 2 nights ago going in, and he was going in to buy alcohol and was adamant about how excited he was to consume it. Now, the planet is raising its vibration. There is no way for these low vibrational substances to keep being consumed on those levels. Now, I'm not saying having a glass of wine with dinner is going to cause you a tower moment, but if you're using a substance to avoid awakening, let's say, or numb yourself from all the pain, the universe is going to step in and make you stop. So these people have probably gotten away with this a million times, and this one time the universe put something in their way where they got caught, where they crashed their car, whereas to give them their tower moment, where they had such a close call that maybe they'll stop now. And if they don't, maybe the next car accident won't be so close, let's say, a close shave. And then I started thinking, okay, the planet is raising its vibration as a whole. In order to stay on this thing, we have to start facing these demons and start waking up. Therefore, everyone's going to start having tower moments like I did 10 months ago. Maybe not in the same way, hopefully a lot more gradual, but there's not as much time as people think in order to wake up. You know, we all just, while we're asleep, we all just want us to keep going on and for nothing to change so that we have security and safety, even if it's a prison we're safe in. But once you wake up, there is no choice but to deal with these things. So I also started thinking about tower moments on, say, a lesser scale. So say you're not just using a substance, but you're doing something. You're doing something to cope. You know, you're doing something to try to control your outside environment. For example, maybe you have a hobby that you just have to incessantly do in order to distract yourself from what's going on. You got all these feelings starting to bubble up that you need to deal with, and you won't deal with them, so you even double down on this. Or you're a controlling person where you have to try to obsessively control your entire environment, and then the universe will put things like broken dishwashers, and it'll keep breaking things, it'll keep causing issues until the point where you can no longer cope the way you used to cope. By controlling everything, it's all going to fall apart. You're going to break. This is what happened to me. I couldn't cope with it anymore. None of the stuff I was using was working. And then I just broke and I awoke. and it's coming for many, many, many people out there. Now, I started this channel as a way to try to help people do things that they could do to make this a little easier on themselves. But, you know, as I realize now, it was kind of a waste of time. It wasn't, because I learned a lot, and that's a huge benefit. Now, maybe people will go back and look at this after, but, you know, once you start to awaken, maybe this will be something you're going to want to look at, all those old videos that I did. But as of prepping people who aren't ready to listen in the first place, unless you have some sort of inkling of awakening, you're not going to watch any of this stuff. And therefore, it's going to be a tower moment. It's going to be a dark night of the soul. And there's no way around it. And I'm sorry that that's the case, because I've been through many. And they're very scary. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Anyone in the spiritual space that would, you're doing a disservice. It's work. It's scary. It's... your whole life gets upended. Your whole way of looking at things gets upended. You become a different person. Parts of you die that you've had your entire, or most of your life. Let's say since 7 years old in my instance. And it's coming. Now you'll notice in the outside world, or at least I've started to notice, a lot of this is happening. The cascade is starting. Things are happening on a global scale, similarly, and will continue to happen. There will be natural disasters, various things that are going to cause people to not be able to live the way they used to live. They won't have a choice. Mother Nature's had enough, and we're either going to awake and get on this train, or we're getting off. And I'm getting on, and I'm not afraid of anything, because I know this is all a schoolhouse game. So the position that Mother Nature is in was planned, and is exactly why I incarnated at this point on the storyline. So, yeah. But for those of you who are going to go through these tower moments, don't panic. These dark nights of the soul, don't fight it. That is the way to a lot more pain than you have to have. Pain is necessary. The whole point of this is to learn to separate yourself from this mind noise. And a lot of these preconditioned patterns and behaviors and trauma and things that we're not going to deal with. Everybody has this, from my generation at least. Hopefully the next generation or the newest generation won't have any of this, and I know that to be the case. But in our instance, we all have it, and it all has to be dealt with. It can't come with you on these timelines, on these higher timelines. If you want to experience the highest timeline, you have no choice but to face this stuff. And I think that's where I'll leave it. It's going to be the most monumental change in human history since the fall of Atlantis, but more than that, it's going to be otherworldly and spectacular, and every other adjective that you can think of to describe it. The future is unbelievably beautiful, and once your lessons are learned and you've dealt with all this stuff, you get to enjoy it. So this second half of my second act, let's say, of the play, is going to be a lot of the opposite of what I went through in the first act. And that's the way it's going to be for a lot of people. So it's in your best interest to like I said, not fight this. To learn the lessons, to do the work, to get through it, and to know that you're safe and it's going to be okay. You wrote the story for yourself. You're not going to write a shitty story. It's not the way this is going to work. You've written yourself a spectacular, amazing, unbelievable ending to this play. You just have to let go enough to get there to experience it. And I'm getting real close. I feel a lot happier recently, and I know where this is heading, and I'm excited again. So, but I have, as an empath and as someone who's been through a lot of this, I do feel for everybody who is going to have to do this too. I wish it wasn't like that, but I know you have to do it. Now, if you want support, that's what I'm here for. I've been turned on, let's say, before a lot of people, so that I can help you through it and I can explain some things. But you have to ask for it. And I know I can't save everybody from their pain. It's just the way it is. We're all going to have to do it. So I'll leave it at that. So I bring back an old segment, like from the older videos I've gotten into. Well, let's say feeling sorry for myself, or learning the lessons is a better way to describe it. And I had forgot about my crystal section. So as you can see, it's a skull shape, beautiful piece, and it's made from orange calcite. Orange calcite, I'm gonna have to read my notes because I don't know this one that well, but I do know the orange color is associated with the sacral, and this is why I picked this up, and it buzzed so strongly in my hand, let's say. So orange calcite is for optimism and hope. So what better crystal to have than this for what's upcoming in the world? I'm holding on to it all the time. And let's see here, they say it cleanses a room, so it transmutes heavy energy. So some crystals absorb energy, like obsidian. This one absorbs it and turns it into positive energy. So it acts kind of like, say, like a house plant, a nice refreshing house plant in the corner of a room. You can actually walk around with this and use it like that inside a room. It amplifies energies. So they had an awful pile of this at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Tons, metric tons of this. And you wonder if those pyramids, if you don't know by now, the bloody things were machines. They were devices. They were designed to amplify energy. Say psychic amplifiers would be a better description. And they had healing chambers built into them. And they were on a particular location, like some of my other videos, because of the grid. Anyway, we're getting off topic. And it inspires creativity. Now, why is that? Orange is the color of the sacral chakra. And this is why I have this, because I had a huge blockage in my sacral. It's also where sexuality is. And your creativity is blocked if you have a blockage in your sacral. So this will help and aid in moving that and amplifying it, right? It amplifies it. So you can use it to inspire creativity. If you meditate with this in your hand before you get into a flow state, meditate and use this, it will amplify the creativity and ideas will just come to you. I've tried it, it works. Gets the juices flowing, which is just reminded me of orange juice. which is something that I was drawn to in excess and still drink. Like it's like it's my new alcohol, I guess you could say. But it's also orange in color, which means the frequency of that aligns with the sacral frequency of orange, which means the vibrational frequency of the two of them are the same. And this is the amplifying effect on that. Well, orange juice being orange does the same thing. So I think that's where we'll leave it. Yeah. Beautiful piece. Now, this used to buzz in my hand like crazy when I first picked it up. It still does, actually. Oh, yeah. But it's a powerful piece, and it's in the shape of a crystal skull, obviously. And there's something to that as well. The old societies used to use crystals, and crystal skulls in particular. I'm not sure the significance of the skull, but to store data. So most of the information that was lost during these ancient times is not lost. It's in these crystal skulls. We just don't know how to read it. So hopefully someone will turn that back on for us soon. If you know, you know. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. As I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow.